Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. 7 races are in the books, and the top driver, it has just been seen Jake Nichols dominating. 4 out of the 7 races have been won by the 73 machine, but tonight we tackle a new beast. It's the 2-mile monster of Michigan International Speedway, a track that has got enough space to go 5 wide, 6 wide, sometimes even 7. But how well can the drivers get around this course with a car that's been difficult, and drivers have been saying it is a handful in the tightness level? How do you get this thing around in traffic? We'll find out here this evening. We're proud to give you all the coverage again on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me this evening is Richard Wolsifer. And Richard, it's been kind of a tough start to the season for some drivers. It has been not a lot of passing going on. It's been a lot more of strategy that's helped drivers. But tonight could be another strategy type of an evening as we're here at Michigan.
Yeah, it has been a really rough season for a lot of drivers. We were expecting to kind of do a lot better. Not to harp on him like normal, like Gavin Rogers, our defending champion, he's just been struggling trying to figure out this Gen 4 car, and there's just been a handful of a lot of other drivers as well. But tonight, Michigan International Speedway, very fast. I've been hearing these drivers hitting over 200 mile an hour going into the turns. But they're also complaining about how tight this car handles. And add that with trying to follow the cars in front of you, it's just going to add even more difficulty for these drivers. So we'll have to see if strategy is going to play the bigger part, or if people are going to be able to find a way to make some passes.
Now, Michigan, a track that's got a lot of history here in the WSSR Cup Series. Last time we ran here was last season, and it started one of the most incredible 5-race stretch I think I've seen in a while in a league, where it was the last lap pass for 5 races in a row. Didn't matter what style of track we were at. I'm curious if tonight maybe could change up that factor of, could we see some late race magic happening here this evening? Now, the one trend that I think could be changing is the amount of cautions we've had in the past. Michigan has been a caution-filled race. Last season, we had 12 cautions. Back in season 9, we had 8. Before that, it was very low on the caution count. I think that's what we're going to go back to with the style that this car has been bringing out. It's been low caution counts. We'll see how the drivers can handle it here tonight as qualifying underway. All drivers have 5 minutes to put down their fastest lap, but only 2 laps to do so. And let's see who can get top of the board, because looking through practice, drivers were marching to get to the top, and it was the driver who was showing a lot of pace last week at the Milwaukee Mile, Brian McCann. He's figuring out this track. He was the fastest during practice. Let's see if we can get the pole time here this evening, or can someone else steal the show? As the driver who's got the most poles entering into tonight's race, it's going to be Jake Nichols with 4 poles for himself here this evening. We've got the 99 of Ethan Smith currently on screen as he's racing around. Richard, here this evening, drivers, I feel like for a lot of cars, it's always the changing up. Is it the first lap? Is it the second lap? Based on what I was seeing a lot, that second lap looked to be the money time for a lot of drivers this evening.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what these drivers can do for these qualifying laps, because it has been kind of back and forth with which lap you want as the faster lap. But here at Michigan, they want to try to get as much speed as they possibly can down the straightaway. So building up that momentum on the outside of the turns for your first warm-up lap is what's going to be able to build up that speed, get to the top speed around the, mainly down the front stretch. You want to get that speed down the front stretch to cut off as much time as you can. So we'll have to see what these drivers do, but it looks like second lap is probably going to be a lot of these drivers' fast lap.
As drivers are now marching across the line, fastest driver going to be Vincent Sora in the 15 machine, and a lot of others are searching for what type of other pace there is for themselves. Shane Tarian, who thought he was going to come away with the victory last season, was the driver that got passed by John Forbes. Currently second fastest is the 9 machine. Looks like he will not attempt for a second lap. He will only go for the 1. Vincent Sora's second lap, still good enough for the pole time, but Watch out for this ticker. It's expected to change. Main reason why, you got Jared Talmadge out there on track, Thomas Green, as well as Seth Knoll, Jake Nichols, who can find the top speed. It's the fastest driver from practice, Brian McCann in the 8 machine, who takes the pole number with a 38.490 on his second lap. Good enough for himself for that time. We'll see if it holds, as again, still some fast drivers out there on course. As Jared Talmadge first lap across the line, gonna be a 38.6 for the 27. It's the second lap that's gonna be the money one for this 27 machine.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the second lap. We see a lot of the drivers up top, like Brian McCann. His second lap was his fastest, which grabbed him the pole by 0.03 of a second. Impressive work from himself. Figured out this track and car combination, but Jared Talmadge trying to do his best to top the board to get that pole position as he comes around turn 3 and 4 in that stand-up to cancer number 27 machine for Lucky Duck Motorsports. Out of turn 4, down the front stretch, going to go all the way down to the apron as he gets ready to cross the line, trying to stay out of the grass, and Jared Talmadge will be able to not best his first lap time. His first lap will be his fastest lap of qualifying.
I think that's a little bit of a shocker to see. I think a lot of guys are expecting that pickup to happen immediately on the second lap, and when it doesn't, it's going to be an odd one to sense with, as drivers that are left out there on course. With 43 seconds left, Chris Ditz looks to be going for a one-lap dash for himself, but he might have ran out of time because he's going to cross the line before, with it being past 33 seconds. That's not enough time to put a lap in for his second lap. Good enough for at least one lap to be placed. That is a tough one for the 17, as he will start back in 18th position. Zach Hall, Seth Knoll will not be attempting a time for themselves. So Brian McCann, welcome to getting a pole. He will be our 5th different pole sitter this season. And what a time to get it for the 8 machine, coming off of last week's incredible run at the Milwaukee Mile. One of the first drivers really to challenge Jake Nichols. Looks like we got a new competitor that really is starting to step it up. You'll love to see it from the 8 machine of Brian McCann, especially at a tight track. We've seen this in the past. When it's a track that is very tough to corner your way around, that 8 machine is the one who steps up most of the time, as we are now going to be entering into a 5-minute warm-up period. We'll see which drivers can get a little bit faster, as well as allows us to take a closer look of how the season has been so far. Starting things off with the point standings, we'll move into, and it's kind of been interesting to watch the point standings on how they're going to ebb and flow this season. The point standings, again, the top 16 make it into the playoffs, but we're having these such low car counts of drivers showing up. It's giving opportunities for some other drivers to kind of step up, get inside of the top 16. One of those, Douglas Newbigging. He is now cracked into the top 16 after his performance last week. We also have Cedric Hunter having a great run. Ryan Noel's going to be the newest driver to enter into the top 16, was Matt Meir, Joshua Kanata, Chris Ditz, all get bounced out with some poor runs for themselves. I think that's kind of the biggest shock looking at the points right now, Richard.
Yeah, it is a huge shock to see those drivers drop out of playoff contention right now. But, one of the biggest things you got to check a lot of these drivers, pretty much every single driver, with the exception of John Forbes, in the top 16 has been here at every single race. So if you want a chance at the playoffs, I mean, you got to show up. You got to, even if you come in and just, if you wreck out or whatnot, you're still getting points for that race. So, I mean, showing up to each and every single one of the races, that's going to guarantee you points, and that's what's going to help you get into that top 16.
As the drivers are getting through more of the warm-ups, we'll take a closer look at how the season's been so far. Again, 7 races in the books, and we only have a handful left throughout the rest of the regular season. We have tonight at Michigan. Next week, we head to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm excited to see that one. I think Indy has the potential to be a good race, but with the way this aero package has been and the handling and setup for this car, it also could be a tough one. We'll see how that one rolls. And then a brand new track. We head to Mexico City for race 10 of the season before finishing things off with Rockingham and Talladega for the rest of the regular season before we head into the chase. We'll see how the drivers can handle the chase in front of them, but these 5 races, so important to see how the field reacts for themselves.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the rest of the season, how it pans out. I mean, some exciting races. I mean, next week, I'm really excited to see that race. That's going to be Indianapolis Motor Speedway, my hometown track, grew up around it and everything. So it's going to be really awesome race to watch, hopefully. And then we got Mexico City. That's going to be really fun to watch with the Gen 4 cars, as NASCAR just went there this past year. So bringing the Gen 4 car, bringing this old style stock car body there to that track, that should be a very exciting race. And we should see all the road course ringers come out and show up for that one and give us a show kind of like we saw at Sonoma.
I'm excited to see what the show is going to bring for us. And I'm also excited to see how tonight's race is going to handle as we are in our final 2 minutes of the warm-ups, which is our usual time to give you our pick'ems, who are drivers that we think are storyline picks or just drivers to watch out for. And I'm going to start things off with a driver who decided not to put in a qualifying time, but expected to be running up front at the end of this race. Seth Knoll, he's making his return, his first race in 2026. He's ran most of the season, went on a little bit of a hiatus the last few weeks. We'll see how that 23 machine reacts here this evening. Richard, who's a driver that you've got in mind to watch out for here this evening?
He was impressive last week at the Milwaukee Mile, making a legit pass for the lead against Jake Nichols, our points leader, and he's going to be sitting on pole position today. I'm going to have to go with the number 8 machine of Brian McCann. He has been extremely impressive in this Gen 4 car, and just every week it just seems he keeps getting better and better, and it's just going to be exciting to see what he can do today.
It's always exciting to see drivers and how they elevate themselves throughout a season. And let's check out who our pick from our third member of our crew. That's Robert Moyer Jr. And Robert always coming in with these stylish picks for himself. But Robert was going to go with a driver that found his way missing out on the win last week, Shane Tarian in the 9 machine. We'll see how well he reacts here this evening, but it certainly is going to be a fun one as we've got ourselves Shane Tarian, Brian McCann, Seth Knoll, and Richard. I mean, the obvious picks that we have that we don't even have to say. Jake Nichols, he's going to be the driver to watch. Can he grab his 5th win out of 8 races? I think he's obviously going to be the driver to watch out for here this evening on top of the 3 that we chose.
Yeah, Jake Nichols, always a driver to watch out for. He's always got his car up there, up front, racing for the lead, racing for the win. And, I mean, he's going to be starting in the front row this time, but he's going to have to work his way through some traffic. Not a lot, but some. And like we said, these cars are going to be extremely tight tonight. We heard that passing might be a little difficult for these guys, so we'll have to see if Jake Nichols can overcome this difficulty and make the passes and make it look like a clinic for himself as he's done every single week.
As warm-up comes to a conclusion, same for qualifying and practice. All that's left is our featured race, 120 laps here at Michigan. And we're excited to give you all the racing coverage again here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you so much to our title sponsor here this evening of Elwood Designs. Head on over to Facebook, Elwood Designs, on Twitter, Elwood Designs, and at Simrad Market at Alan Elwood to find yourself some great schemes to work with. Elwood Designs, always a place to help out the iRacing community since 2012 to make the paint schemes that you're envisioning. Thank you so much for being our title sponsor. As well, we want to say thank you to Lucky Duck Motorsports for being our qualifying grid sponsor. Lucky Duck Motorsports, trying to help out the racing community. By joining the team, you've got opportunities to earn some money with your results, as well as trying to help out the drivers in the team. Thank you so much to Lucky Duck Motorsports. They've got 2 full teams of 4 out there on track, as they are such an incredible squad to be joining up and partnering with the WSSR Cup Series. If you want to learn more of also great ways that Lucky Duck helps out communities and charity, go check out Lucky Duck's Twitter at We Are Lucky Ducks and on Instagram, Lucky Duck Motorsports. Taking his first pole of the season, the 8 machine of Brian McCann, finding himself with the quick speed here this evening to his outside. It's been the driver that's been second fiddle so many times this season, hoping for victory tonight. It's Vincent Soar in the 15. Driver looking for redemption here this evening, as he has called that this will be his final full-time season in an iRacing league. Shane Tarian going to be starting in 3rd place and wants his redemption from last season. Jake Nichols trying to go for win number 5. Going to get it done. He'll start in 4th with Cedric Hunter 5th. John Forbes, who won this race last season with a dramatic flare move. We'll see how the 7 reacts in 6th place. The number 1 of Gavin Rogers will start in 7th with Chuck Sweeting in 8th. 9th is Jan Van Leer, as well as in 10th is Larry Yingling, which if you look at the stats, Larry Yingling, Brian P. Johnson, those are the 2 legendary veteran drivers to watch out for here this evening. Richard, what does the rest of the field have for us?
Starting back in because in 11th place will be Matt Muir making his return tonight here at Michigan with Jarrett Talmadge in the 27 to his outside. Another fast car, got a lot of ground to make up. Ryan Kelly in the number 3 will be starting inside of row 7, and Douglas Newbigging to his outside of the number 77 in 14th. 15th place will be Ethan Smith in the number 99, and 00 Brian Noel in the 16th position. Ali Fonseca starting back in 17th. Chris Stitz in the outside, starting 18th. Thomas Green and Ben Keeney will round out the top 20. And then you have Seth Knoll, looks like he'll be starting from the pits, would have started 21st. And Zach Hall rounding out the back of the field in 22nd.
Out in chat, you got Hazardous, who's going to be letting us know about the fact of there's a chance that Seth Knoll may not be racing due to not liking this car track combo. Not going to be running here this evening. So 21 drivers going to be out there on track for the initial start. We'll see if Seth takes off from pit road or not. Also, for the start of this race, track temp, weather going to be a factor to watch out for. It is 102 degrees for the track temperature, 74 degrees ambient temperature. We'll see how the wind affects these vehicles as we are in the middle of the day. How does this track cool off? Does it heat up? We'll find out throughout this race. We got 120 laps in total to run this evening. No stage break, no fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires. The fuel window expected to be 35 to 37 laps based off where you run in the field, utilizing the draft or not. But tonight, we get ready for race number 8 of the season for the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. The Michigan 120 is underway as Vincent Sora, Brian McCann, roar down into turn number 1. How does the field react with the tight machines, or can they handle the corner as they head down into turn number 1?
Turn 1, Brian McCann will be definitively in the lead as he's going to slide right up in front of Vincent Sora. And Jake Nichols not wasting any time. He's going to move up 1 position from his starting spot, and he's going to challenge Vincent Sora into turn 3. Not do it very aggressively. Going to back off a little bit, but there is still 2 wide, 3 wide, almost 4 wide further back in the field. With the top 3 in line and ready to check out as Brian McCann will lead the opening lap.
And just a couple of puffs of smoke. So the driver getting very close to the outside wall off the exit of the corner. Turn 4, lap 1 in the books. And Brian McCann leads the way for himself. And for Brian McCann, the one stat he doesn't want to hear, the driver that has gotten the pole has yet to win here at Michigan in the WSSR Cup Series. Can the 8 shake that off? We'll find out as he's trying to pull away from the rest of the field as Vincent Sora, Jake Nichols battle side by side for second place, as well as John Forbes, Shane Terrian. They're having their same do-si-do from last season, carrying on here into season 12 as Nichols almost clear for the lead. Clear for second place as they're watching the leader kind of scamper away.
Clear for the lead is almost an accurate statement for Jake Nichols because we always see him up there racing for the lead, but not trying to get around John Ford or Vincent Sora there. My apologies for the second place. Will clear him, going to slide right up in front of him. That'll put Jake Nichols clearly in second place. Vincent Sora's now got to chase him down, but they've got to chase down the number 8 as they had a little bit of a scuffle in the back there as the 98 of Ben Keeney all the way down to the apron there, but they keep it straight and keep on racing.
A little bit of contact from the 99 of Ethan Smith and Ben Keeney. They're both going to be able to keep it safe, still connected with the draft, so their race isn't completely thrown away in an instant, but obviously contact you don't want to make, but it's going to be something we have to watch out for as this run progresses on. That right front tire going to disintegrate as the run goes on, as the Hello Kitty Pink 13 machine up into the wall for a second, able to continue on forward, but the middle of the pack showing the magic of Michigan. There's so much space and everyone's utilizing it.
Yeah, there's space all over this track, and you can see it right there. Great shot down the backstretch. You see all the drivers any line they possibly can, kind of all over the track, 2 and 3 wide, all the way back. Doing a great job as Cedric Hunter almost gets up there into Vincent Sora into the door out of 4 there, but Vincent Sora, I don't know if he is saving or if he's got some speed to find, but he seems to slowly be backing off the pace.
Backing off, but you don't want to fall right into the clutches of this Hornet's nest because drivers have been really tight on entry. Different turning zones of when they're deciding to turn into the corners because of how tight this track is. There's different ways you can attack it. You can go extremely wide and just let the car coast around, or you can be aggressively trying to get to that yellow line. Other drivers try to stay in the middle. And with all those different decisions, some drivers are getting into one another just on the entry of these corners, which you got to be careful of. And one driver who's going to be having trouble bringing out our first caution of the day, it's Jan van Leer in the 10 machine going for a spill off the exit of turn 4. And it was actually contact in the center of the corner. We haven't seen that just yet.
Yeah, contact in the center of the corner sends the number 10 Tide machine of Jan van Leer around. Almost had it saved a little bit, but the car decided to angle back up onto the track, and it rolled up there. That's what brings out our caution as we ride around here to see what it is. Oh, what happened? Out of turn 2, side by side with Larry Yingling, it looks like. He's going to try to slot in, doesn't have the room. So go into turn 3 here. We'll have to see at the middle of the turn who he gets in contact with and what sent him around. It looks like it might be the 27 machine right up into his... It looks like he was getting a little loose or tight and had to slow down. Talmadge did not expect that slowdown from the number 10 machine and just gets up into his right rear bumper, spins him around.
You can kind of see those black lines go all the way around this track. Those are the seams. Looks like for the 10, he got right on the seam. That's what kind of snaps him loose. And then there's the contact by the 27 of Jared Talmadge. Just nowhere to go for the 27 machine. And for the 10, goes around. And luckily, there's enough space for the 10 to have those types of slides off the exit of turn 4. Unlike last week where he ran into the pit wall, into the pit barrels after his spill. So continue to race on, not the contact you want, but this does give it a chance for some drivers to change up the strategies. Pit road has been called for majority of the field. Brian McCann, John Forbes, Larry Yingling, they stay out, but led by Jake Nichols into pit road most of the field. We'll see if this is tires, just fuel. Now everyone has 4 extra sets of tires in pit road, and the 73 is taking a set now.
73 taking some tires. I feel like he thinks he needs some tires to be able to get around these guys, but he is going to lose a ton of track position as it looked like everybody else either took 2 tires or fuel only. So Jake Nichols, that will put him extremely far back into the 16th position. That's a lot of traffic he's going to have to work his way through now, and he's back in the Hornets' nest where you don't want to be.
Absolutely not. And for Jake Nichols, he is going to be one of 3 drivers going to be taking a chance here on tires, as watching Zach Hall to see what decision he makes, and he will go into the pits. But you know, for the 73, the 31 of Thomas Green and Chris Stitz all taking tires, it's going to be a good margin to see. Okay, you drivers have been green for about 5 laps at the time of that caution. What is those 5 laps on difference on tires really going to show here as everyone gets ready to take off and go in an instant, as you're watching the 32 on his pit stop on what he was going for.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what these strategies play off of. I mean, again, we have no stage break, so it's all a fuel game of what these drivers are playing. So they know something's up, or, you know, they're testing something out, see what they can do for later. You know, they might not be helped out right now, but that could be a decision that helps them out later in the race for how much fuel they need to take, or if they even need to take fuel at certain times. So, hey, we'll have to see what this strategy plays out for those drivers and see if it pays out in the end.
I want to say hello to everyone that's out in chat commenting right now. We got some people that are rooting for Ollie Fonseca, also the 99 of Ethan Smith, and also we have a TSSR fan out there. Get some J. We love to see you get some J. It's been a while since we've seen you out there in chat, but we always adore when you come out here rooting on for that Texas Speed Racing team. We also got Tyler Wren out there. Hello, everybody. As interesting note, of the 7 drivers that decided not to pit, it was Jan van Leer who didn't pit. And Richard, that is a shocking one to see for the driver that just spun out, went for the drift slide, burnt off some of that extra grip that he maybe wanted. You'd think you'd take a set there, but he's going to test those older, worn-out tires.
Yeah, he's saving tires for a later part of the race, but I mean, I still think with that kind of spin, he didn't really spin egregiously. It wasn't super hard, so maybe he feels like he's got some life in the tires still. You know, they're going to cool off a little bit from what they were, being that they were going so slow for the caution here. So heat's not really a big thing with those tires at the moment, but we'll have to see how much he can keep up with these guys in front of him, or if he's going to fall like a rock after that slide.
As the base car gets ready to pull off into pit road, it's Brian McCann, John Forbes Jr., as well as Larry Yingling, Jared Talmadge, John Fonseca, Ben Keeney, and Jan Van Leer. Old tires. Can they stop the drivers that are eighth on back with the freshies? Let's find out. As McCann, a great launch for himself. The rest of the field, well, you thought they were scattered, being 3-4 wide before. This is time to see some madness. Is already drivers are ducking it down. Almost the apron is Douglas Newbigging in that 77. But on the outside, Vincent Sora rocket shipping his way into sixth place already from 8th to 6th in just one corner.
Yeah, phenomenal move. Those new tires are really doing wonders for those guys. But, I mean, Douglas Newbigging, like you were saying, down there on the apron making moves down there, that's kind of like his MO. Almost every track we see that doesn't have, like, massive banking, he always tries to make that apron work. It helps rotate that car every now and then, try to get, upset the car a little bit, get it rotated. Helps loosen the car up, free it up a little bit, make the turn a little bit better for himself. But he is ripping the inside line right there down on the yellow.
Attack mode is on, engaging into every little bit of this speed and battling for the lead. John Forbes Jr. going to be attacking for that top spot for himself. Again, not everyone took tires. Only 3 drivers officially took tires for themselves, as Larry Yingling now going to be also pressuring for the lead. It's going to be 3 wide, 4 wide for a quick moment. And now Jared Talmadge, he finds himself making contact for that top spot, bringing out our last caution, now challenging for the top spot as we're 3 wide, battling for second place. John Forbes trying to move away as Larry Yingling stuck in the middle. McCann on the outside, Ollie Fonseca just watching the wall in front of him as Talmadge slides in front of the 67 and makes the attempt for second place, still fighting, but it's McCann that's on top.
McCann doing a great job making the momentum work on the outside line there, going to clear Jared Talmadge, and now he's got to get up to John Forbes and try to make the pass around him to keep the lead. He had a very substantial lead before that caution came out, and this restart, looks like a few drivers might have gotten to the outside wall out of 4 there, but that restart really upset Brian McCann's momentum. He almost got passed by like 4 cars, but he's challenging John Forbes now again for the lead as they're door-to-door going into turn 1.
And if you can remember back to last season, this was the race that John Forbes door banged into Shane Tarian to take the win. And after that contact, during the interview, said, I'm going to race this way. It's on you to race me the same way. And Brian McCann taking note, but it's Jared Talmadge that just goes with the wild dive bomb move, trying to slice his way in front of the 8. Almost enough momentum to take the lead as they'll stay side by side with John Forbes. They'll stay side by side, trying to side draft the 27 to keep himself close. Another dive bomb move expected from the 27. Can it stick as he goes down low, cutting the distance, and has the nose ahead, but not enough space. And instead, it's the drivers from behind that you got to be careful of, as Larry Yingling trying to build some momentum for the 67. Not enough. But as they continue to bicker back and forth, lingering in the background, it's the 73 of Jake Nichols with the freshest of tires as he waits for a mistake to pounce and move forward in this top 10.
Yeah, Jake Nichols has moved his way through the traffic pretty easily as he is now sitting back there in the 9th position. And the number 10, Jan Van Leer. So he's going to be looking to make a pass here soon to get around him and keep charging his way forward. But impressive work from the number 73 machine as he is working his way to the front and back.
Making these moves forward. The other 2 drivers that took a set of tires, that is Thomas Green in 13th, Chris Stitz in 15th. They really have not been able to move forward as efficiently as you would expect with fresh rubber, but just showing maybe they needed a few more laps to see the wear and tear, as currently the field, the draft, it is keeping everyone attached at this current time as John Forbes continues to linger up front. The driver last season that won the race just leading 1 lap. Well, he's led a few, and that's going to be a little bit of a confidence booster for the 7 machine, knowing I've gotten the lead, I've defended a teammate that was trying to go for the pass, and a couple of other drivers. This 7 is holding strong.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job keeping the lead there in front of his teammate Jared Talmadge and keeping Brian McCann back behind them, preventing him from being able to make a move to try to get back up front. And, like you said, these cars are all still stacked with each other. And, it's tracks like this, in Indianapolis next week, these bigger tracks that require draft really to be extremely fast. I mean, you can still be fast without the draft, but down the straightaways, you're kind of going to suffer and make it up on the turns. But it might be boring for the drivers sometimes because, I mean, they're doing a good job making a show for us with a lot of passing, but it keeps all the drivers close to each other, and it keeps for some wild moments and exciting racing.
Yeah, and what we're seeing right now, on the straightaways is Brian McCann going to get a little bit too close to Larry Yingling there for a second, as those Cody Glencock's music drivers got to be careful not getting into one another too much there. But the draft is actually shockingly not as powerful as what we've seen in other vehicles that we've got a little bit more attuned with, Richard. This is keeping drivers where you might be trying to go for a pass by yourself. It may not complete the pass, but just having one driver behind you gives a chance as they're 4 wide for second place. Down into turn number 1, Vincent Sora, Olive Fonseca, McCann, Talmadge, and it's Fonseca that slices his way. Now keeping it side by side for second.
Yeah, Vince Sora knew that they were 4 wide, had a bad feeling about it. He's the one that decides to back it out on the inside there. Let those guys fight it out, but Ali Fonseca, fantastic move for himself, but he's getting challenged back again from Brian McCann as now Vince Sora try to make that ground back up. But fantastic work for those drivers going 4 wide into turn 1. Kept it off each other, kept it clean, and made some really awesome passes.
And with all the movement, Nichols now going to be challenging for 6th place as Iljiks continue to ride on the outside. Douglas Newbegin trying to attempt to follow with the tire tracks of the Lucky Duck Motorsport teammates, as everyone, just the exit of these corners, going to get more and more dramatic as the run progresses on with how tight this window is on the track that your right front is just wearing down dramatically as Donovan Lair gets close to Nichols there in that moment through 3 and 4. But everyone's going to be questioning the exit of these corners on, do I even have the tires to accelerate out? Or am I just going to be going into the wall, going into another driver? The questions continue to loom on. As for front runners and most of the field, they've been out there on track for 19 laps on these set of tires.
Yeah, it's really difficult when a track runs really tight, no matter what car you're really in, because it's hard to really drive the car fast. But Cedric Hunter, he gets a little loose out of 2 and then gets hit in the rear end, sends him around and nose first into the outside wall.
And luckily didn't get into the outside wall as aggressively as he could have, nor did other drivers pile in. We'll see how much damage he collected, as it was Shane Terrian, Cedric Hunter that get into one another. And just a small little bump. And this is kind of shades to the old ARCA, the ARCA car that then got the Gen 4 engine, where just one small little taps and you were seeing drivers get spun around constantly.
Yeah, just 13 coming out of turn 2, up a little too close to the wall, let up the car a little loose, tried to collect it. Shane Terrian was not expecting the speed difference from the 13 Hello Kitty machine and himself, and had no time to truly react. Got into the rear end, sends the 13 up into the wall, and he does have, like I said, some pretty significant nose damage. He should be able to get that repaired pretty quickly. Great view right there. You saw the sparks of the 13 machine getting into the wall, scuffing off the speed. Shane Terrian did everything he could to not get into him, but just not enough time to react.
And now the field's got a decision with us now being on lap 20. You expect everyone to come in, and you're taking your first set if you haven't already. I think this is going to be curious for Nichols, Green, and Stitz, who already used their first set. Do you take your second here on lap 20? Because this feels like a much more of a gain if you take tires now compared to staying out.
Yeah, I expect every driver that did not pit that first caution is going to come down, take their tires now to get some fuel. As for all the other drivers, it's going to be interesting to see what their decision is. I mean, I'm sure some drivers took 2 tires last pit stop. They might come in and take 4. I mean, the guys that already took 4 tires, they may take 2. So right now, it's a big decision on what every single one of these drivers are deciding on doing, as all drivers have came down pit road to get some service.
Everyone into pit road to get their service done, as it's expected from majority of the field. 4 tires and fuel. Continue to keep our eyes out on Nichols, Green, Stitz. As Shane Terrian goes a little bit too far in his box, has to back up. But the reason why we're keeping a note on those 3 drivers, they already took a set of tires. Who's topping off, who's not, and Green tops off. Jake Nichols tops off on fuel, save for Stitz, so they're going to be on a 13-lap difference on their tires compared to the rest of the field that all took 4 tires and fuel.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the strategy call we were talking about earlier. Decided to come in, just get fuel instead, since they already had some newer tires. And that's what's going to benefit Jake Nichols, Thomas Green, and all them. They're now going to lead the pack on this restart in the 1-2 position. So great work by them. Strategy pays off, and they'll lead the field.
And now this puts the field in a weird spot for the rest of this race. Again, the fuel number we were given was around 35 to 37 laps on fuel if it was a full green stint. And looking at this race, we got less now 100, going to be less than 100 when we go green. I would say we're in a two-stop situation here for the rest of this race for everyone, which kind of helps the mentality, because I know coming into this race, if we had stayed green all the way through, it was going to be a decision of, do you stretch the fuel out to make it a two-stop? Is it a three-stop? I think that would have been fun. Now it's equal footing. Everyone knows the strategy from here on out.
Yeah, everyone knows the strategy, and it's going to be interesting to see. Like you said, two to three stops left for this race. I mean, they aren't even a sixth of the way through. Actually, we are just now getting over a sixth of the way through this race. They still have just under 100 laps to go. So, I mean, they've got a lot of time to figure out what strategy and how they want to, go about their pit stops. But 2 stops for the rest of the time, that should be all they need to make it to the end. So that's just going to see who can save their tires the most to be able to have some momentum when the pit stops are coming.
Cedric Hunter spent an extreme amount of time in pit road after his contact, getting close to that outside wall. The 13 was in pit road for over a minute and 19 seconds. Shane Terry and Zach Hall, they stayed for an extended amount of time to get repairs done as well. They came in second time under this run to top off on fuel as the rest of the field went that extra lap. We'll see how that maybe helps the 9 or the 32. That's going to be further back in the field, but up front, top 3, Thomas Green, Jake Nichols, Chris Stitz, taking this chance in this gamble early on. You love to see a gamble. We'll see how well this gamble works out and what the tire difference is with 13 laps difference on compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, the tire difference is going to be very interesting to see. We saw what new tires was able to do. Jake Nichols was able to slice his way up through the field into the top 5 almost before that caution. So new tires might be something that these drivers further in the back, like that of Brian McCann, to be able to make it back up through the field pretty quickly.
How do they react? Let's find out. Thomas Green going to be the control vehicle here for this restart. For race 8 of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs, season 12 is back underway. Green free launch, he'll move up to the outside row with Jake Nichols as well. Chris Ditz on the inside. Where can he place himself? And how aggressive does the rest of the field want to be? They were already going 2-3 wide entering down into turn number 1. Some are already stacking it 3 wide off the exit of the corner as Ollie Fonseca, not the best run for himself. He'll falter back in line as Green, Nichols, and now making John Forbes tries to tackle and go forward.
Trying to tackle go forward. As for Ollie Fonseca, he had to lose a little bit of time because he almost got pinched up into Jarrett Talmadge from Douglas Newbigging. Very tight racing coming out of turn 2 for them. So Douglas Newbigging, he's going to lose a little bit of ground as well as they all single file. But John Forbes, he is now challenging Jake Nichols for that second position. Those new tires are really paying off. Going to slide right up in front of the number 73. And now his sights are set for the leader of Thomas Green. And Brian McCann is making moves and trying to move his way back up through the field as well.
And also Larry Yingling in the 67. Third place now as he's trying to utilize the outside row and carry the momentum. John Forbes going to be holding it back, but in the middle of the pack is where the gaggle of cars are for that battle for 10th place. As Brian McCann into the outside wall, a little bit of shimmy, forcing everyone to have to go low. Talmadge, Fonseca, Rogers just making their way through the inside as they continue to stay 3 wide. And Gavin Rogers just looking a little bit uncomfortable on that inside groove. He'd like a little bit more space to maybe arc his way into the corner, but currently runs in 8th position as everyone tries to get in line and utilize the draft.
Yeah, it looks like it's just going to have typical Michigan racing right now. Everyone's kind of getting a single file line, only really making moves when it comes to the turns. And when it comes to making the pass, you've got to make that pass quick. Otherwise, you're just utilizing the resource you have that's limited of those tires. So Gavin Rogers there, you see he lost quite a bit of ground as Ollie Fonseca's making a move on him as they're 2 wide again for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th there. Single filing out pretty quick as Vincent Sora is now moving his way up, trying to get around the 73 and the 67 to make his way up into the top 3.
trying to become the next driver in line to try to pose a threat for the lead position. As a couple of drivers bobbing and weave back and forth, that's going to be the double zero of Brian Noel, who hard smacks the outside wall. But up front, it's John Forbes muscling his way with fresh rubber and will take the lead over his teammate of Thomas Green. Lucky Duck Motorsports going to be 1-2, but Vincent Sora wants to shake up that party as the 15 going to be the second car with freshest of tires, trying to push his way forward.
Yeah, Vincent Sora is going to make the move now down the bottom side of the track and by Thomas Green. He wants to be able to get up to John Forbes and challenge him for the lead. And Gavin Rogers behind them, he's way low on the 3-wide situation. He's trying to move his way up through also. He's trying to have a good race week as well. It's been a while since we've seen Gavin trying going for a win. But Gavin doing everything he can. He's trying to get past Ollie Fonseca and Douglas Newby. He's stuck in the middle of 3-wide.
And you can see they're almost a little bit of a stacked 4-wide through the corner, as every lane going to be utilized so far here at Michigan. And this was kind of a thing that we were curious about with how tight this vehicle was by themselves. We weren't sure if they were able to be raced this spread out, but everyone's searching for the clean air, looking for space that they can put in the front bumper. And Douglas Newbigin forcing the issue to try to get underneath some drivers. But for the 77, it looks so spectacular on the moves he's going for on the entry of the corner. It's the center off where he just doesn't have really the space to throttle up. I'm curious if we can make the pass here on the 67. It looks like they finally gave him enough space. Douglas Newbigin now going to be moving up into 7th place for the 77.
Yeah, great work from Douglas Newbigin and Gavin Rogers, finally able to get around the 67 machine. And, I know these drivers are probably suffering about how tight this car is at this track, just kind of being a plow box for them. But, it's forcing the drivers to find new lines to keep that nose in clean air to get it to turn. But this is producing some very good racing. You see a lot of different lines that are working for everybody. You're getting momentum, you're getting runs, and they're making these passes, getting side by side pretty much this entire run. So it's fantastic work for these drivers, regardless how difficult that this car might be to drive at this track.
We're starting to see a full change up as Thomas Green now starts to falter backwards. Our top 7 driver on fresh rubber and now trying to battle against one another. John Forbes is on the outside, trying to hold back. Vincent Sora puts the heavy pressure on the inside groove, but as they continue to go back and forth, Jared Talmadge licking his lips, saying, "This is my opportunity to come for this lead position." As a hard block, Vincent Sora down to the apron, trying to make sure he gets underneath the 7 machine, heading into turn 3, able to complete the pass. Forbes now has to get in line, and Talmadge, I think, a little bit confused, and Newbigin and Fonseca makes slight contact in the center of 3 and 4, into the wall, though. It's going to be our top 2.
Great move from Vincent Sora. He's able to get around John Forbes, and Talmadge is now going to try and follow suit and get around his teammate up in second place. He's going to challenge for the lead, actually, as he dives into the turn underneath Vincent Sora. Going to slide up in front, but Vincent Sora might have a little bit of a run. He's just going to follow in line. They are still 3-wide racing for the top 5 position there. Ollie Fonseca, Brian McCann doing a great job holding off Gavin Rogers, though Douglas Newbigin has made his way up into the 4th position.
This stint seems so much more aggressive than the first 20 laps of this race. These last 10 have been a lot more of drivers willing to press themselves to go forward. I think one of those change-ups could be, if we could bring up the weather, the track temp has slightly changed from the beginning. I think a lot of drivers try to set the tone of, let's back off, let's save our equipment. And maybe they saw on this, when they looked at their tires when they entered pit road, maybe they were being a little bit too generous on not being as aggressive. They're being a little more aggressive. Also, the track temp has risen. Those are going to be counteractive things if you're pushing more on this vehicle and the track temp's hotter.
Yeah, these drivers have got to pay attention to how hot this track is getting, because the hotter this track gets, the more you're going to wear those tires out. So it looks like they're pushing these cars a lot harder than they did the first 20 laps, which these tires are going to leave them. They're going to lose life in these tires a lot quicker. They've got to pay attention to that if they're looking for some long-run pace. But, we'll have to see. Jake Nichols is the one that's really fallen quite far back at the moment. Jake Nichols back in the 18th position on those tires. He's kind of falling back. Maybe he's trying to save a little bit, or those just 13-lap older tires is just not helping.
They were falling back after 5 laps, and I think just being swamped really doesn't help him, as he's going to be falling back with Zach Hull and a few others. But up front, it has been a Hail Mary throw by each driver Three wide passes have been going on back and forth, and now Brian McCann is back in the mix, our pole sitter, trying to find an opportunity for him to pass for third place as Jared Talmadge went from I'm challenging for the lead to I got to defend for third as the 8 makes the move on the outside. Douglas Newbegin trying to make his name seen even more on the inside for the 77. Ollie Fonseca, Gavin Rogers, our top 7 all within a second of one another. When you can see that if one driver makes a mistake, everyone else behind him trying to find a way to pounce on that decision as the 1 trying to go low to get by the that of Douglas Newbegin.
Yeah, all these drivers are driving really smart, honestly, trying to defend and attack at the right times. I mean, it's crazy. It's like watching an automotive boxing match. They are throwing haymaker passes as many times as they possibly can. It just feel like they know that they have to get in front of drivers while they can, while there's life in these tires, because once they get further in these run and these tires kind of disappear from them, I think passes are going to be really hard. But Ollie Fonseca doing a great job defending against Gavin Rogers. He's also going to get passed by Ryan Kelly, and Jan Van Leer has got a really good run on him as well.
Jan trying to make his move forward. Matt Muir, who got knocked out of the top 16 in points after missing last week's race, trying to make his name shown. Currently runs that 10th place spot, looking for mistakes to be made. And one of those drivers that made a mistake last time exiting out of 2, Jared Talmadge slamming the wall in 4th position. We'll see how much he's wounded here as the drivers head down into turns 1 and 2, but exit of turn 2 has been a rough spot. It seems like at least one driver is hitting that outside wall. How many more can make it off the exit of the corner? And that's probably the cleanest run we've seen so far. So you're right on board with John Forbes, who still is not able to make the pass on Vincent Sora. Sora to his outside. The 7 trying to stick to that yellow line, but not able to really stick there. He'll rub up into the 15. And Vincent Sora got to be careful as the 7 wiggles. Here's Brian McCann, the pole sitter, is in the mix.
Brian McCann back to the front, trying to make the moves to get back to where he started. But you saw there, John Forbes had a little loose out of 4 there, and I'm wondering if Vincent Sora had to get out of the gas because he was almost up into the wall. He was trying to pinch and take away John Forbes' exit, but John Forbes was not having it. He kind of forced himself up the track, forcing Vincent Sora up, and some huge contact further back in the 72 machine, spinning on the inside. Caution number 3.
And he keeps it off the inside wall. Matt Muir doing a little bit more of extracurricular burnouts, and just one contact with Jan Van Leer getting into the outside wall. The 72 just nowhere to go. And hard contact for the 72, actually, as we're going to see on this replay off the exit of turn 2. The 10 gets into the wall and just nowhere to go. It ultimately goes for the drift and the spin to slow down the momentum and keeps it off the wall.
Yeah, that is some fantastic wheelmanship right there from the 72, getting into the gas, staying out of it, brakes and turning. Keeps it out of the wall, keeps the damage minimal based on what his original contact was, but that is still some pretty heavy damage on the right front of that 72 machine for Matt Muir. We'll just see right here, coming out of turn 2, he sees the number 10 get up into the wall, tries to go low, but the 10 just kind of trying to collect his own self, just drives into the path of the number 72. Great work from Matt to keep that out of the wall.
Oh, we're going to add one ticker to being commentator curse to Matt Muir tonight, as just cheered on how well he was doing. And the next breath, he is caught up in our second caution of the day. I mean, our third caution of the day. Just seeing drivers got up in madness all around. I mean, Richard, sometimes the power is just too strong when you try to just cheer on drivers.
Yeah, we kind of do have a lot of power up here in the booth. We can sit here and commentate and tell drivers they're doing a very good job all day, but there's always going to be that one moment where you praise a driver and they get caught up literally in the same moment into an incident. So it's just a curse we have to deal with, and Sam, you just kind of have it all the time, it seems.
I hate it. I just want to cheer on drivers, and I'm like, you're having a great day, and then they're out of the race, and that great day is smothered in an instant. As drivers entering pit road, everyone goes in. Now the question is, who's willing to gamble on just taking fuel? Who could take 2 tires? Who's taking 4? Is it 4 for everyone? As, again, drivers were given 4 extra sets of tires to work with in pit road this evening. Some have already used 1. Some expected to take their 2nd right here. And we still have quite a bit of racing to go, at least one more pit stop before this race is over for some drivers that can stretch the fuel out. And this is going to be one of those critical moments of Do you want to save your set of tires, or are you head set on this is a two-stop still for the rest of this race?
Yeah, still a two-stop strategy call, with fuel. But one of the bigger things we just missed there, Brian McCann actually missed his pit box, and instead of backing up, Brian McCann pulled forward, then stopped, then had to back up again. So Brian McCann lost a lot of time on pit road during that pit cycle there for himself. So he was not in a good position there, trying to get out in front of as many people as he could.
Also, Vincent Sora had to do a double take to go backwards for himself, as his time was over 10 seconds in pit road. Fuel only for himself, and a majority of the field going to be taking fuel only. The drivers who took tires going to be led by John Forbes in 10th place. 10th on back, all going to be taking tires for themselves. Jan Van Leer, Matt Muir still sit in pit road, getting damage repair for themselves. So here's going to be that critical moment of, did you take a set of tires? Is this going to work on your momentum to go forward? And really, from 9th on back, taking this set of tires, this is going to be an interesting thing of, if we stay clean and green, we're expecting there to be a change of guard of the lead position, as Ryan Kelly, Shane Terrian going to be our top two getting ready for this restart.
Yeah, Shane Terry and Ryan Kelly, a great front row there for this restart. Brian McCann actually up there still in the 3rd position. I guess he got a benefit there from drivers taking tires and him only taking fuel. So he's still going to be up there and defend his positions. But again, those newer tires behind those guys, they were running for so long. I think those new tires will definitely be able to get the momentum and have the speed to get around these guys fairly quicker than we've seen pretty much all day.
If you're just joining us, we're under another caution. Reason why, Jan Van Leer getting a little bit of trouble off the exit of turn 2 into the outside wall as he was collecting it. That mirror running into the 10 machine and spinning out on the backstretch to bring out the caution. Change up of drivers. Our top going to be 8. Decided to just take fuel. 9th on back, taking 4 tires and fuel. We'll see how well they react here. A couple of drivers topping off as well. Going to be Chuck Sweeting, Thomas Green, Jake Nichols, as well as Chris Ditz, all topping off on fuel to get a little bit of extra to try to turn this race into potentially a one-stop from here on out if we stay clean and green. Let's see whose strategy is going to work out here. Right on board with a 3 on the outside of the front row. We go green. Brian Kelly gets the loud pedal, and we're green once again for the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Ryan McCann wants to get that lead position back quickly for himself, as now the field scattering side by side, 2, 3, sometimes 4 wide deeper in the field.
This is where the field looks chaotic right off the restart. Everyone trying to make the moves as quick as they can. Douglas Newbigging almost cutting off the 00 there, but they were able to keep themselves off each other. But Vincent Sora up here as he lunges forward, trying to make the pass to get further ahead. He's going to be in 4th position. Shane Terrian fallen back, but Ryan Kelly has done a great job. He is maintaining up front, but being challenged by Brian McCann right now as they go into turn 1.
Side by side for the lead, side by side of the back, and Brian McCann, our pole sitter, is back up front, trying to become the first driver in WSSR history to win here at Michigan after getting the pole. No driver that has gotten the pole has been able to hold on to victory lane, as Zach Paul had a little bit of troubles for the 32. He'll falter back in line, watching some of the madness ahead of him. Now again, Zach's watching the drivers who just got fresh rubber muscling their way forward. The first driver that took tires, Jared Talmadge, going to be in 5th place. 6th place is going to be John Forbes, Ali Fonseca in 7th. They're the head chargers moving forward, as Zach Hall, one of those that decided to just take fuel, that's just watching everyone scatter their way around.
Yeah, he's just kind of a sitting duck with all the fresh tires around him, but he's still doing a fantastic job keeping the car as quick as he possibly can, staying in front of everybody. But Ali Fonseca, he has had an impressive run today. He has not fallen out of the top 10 very often, and he is sitting now in the 7th position in front of Brian Noel. Ali Fonseca has been doing great and making some really impressive passes for himself tonight.
Yeah, Ollie's one of those drivers that we've been watching. I mean, it feels like it's a coin toss. Is he going to have a rough night where he's taken out immediately, or is he going to show some pretty good top 5, top 10 pace, and sometimes even challenging the top 3 just outside? This 24, it is always exciting when he's in the middle of all of this, because you know he's going to be giving out some risky moves that sometimes get rewarded and sometimes doesn't. As Brian McCann leads the way, we want to say thank you to some of the amazing sponsors that partnered up for Season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series. Thank you so much to GTR Simulators. If you'd like to have your racing rig look like one of the pros, head on over to gtrsimulators.com and check out their compact version of racing rigs as well as their stationary setups to allow you to feel the comfort of racing at home. Remember to use the promo code WSSR at checkout for 10% off all purchases $100 or more at gtrsimulators.com, and don't miss out on your chance to upgrade your rig and race like the pros. Jared Talmadge leading the charge up front as Brian McCann no longer can hold steady. Those fresher tires are too strong as Talmadge, Forbes are back to the lead position. Fonseca trying to find a way to get around as well as we're seeing in the middle of the pack. Here's Douglas Newbigging, Shane Tarian, and drivers battling for 10th place all around one another and just constantly side by side. It's tough to make any types of headway when you're just watching a wall in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, though, these drivers know that they're really not going to have a major chance for a win. It's more going to be a strategy call for themselves. So they're going to take their chance to try to get whatever position they can. So that's why you see a lot of this racing back in, the 10th place position. But you got Thomas Green and Gavin Rogers, Douglas Newbig, and Shane Tarian. There's still some of those drivers that can easily challenge up into the top 5 or more. Almost contact between the 9 and their number 1 machine is Ben Keeney's low. But they kept off each other and keep it straight. But these guys are trying everything they can to move forward to get back up there in contention with the top 5.
Ben Kinney, who always is trying to find a way to grow as a driver each and every week, joining up with Lucky Ducks a few seasons ago. And it's been great to see this 98. That when we first started watching him join the WSSR Cup Series, he was a driver that was always in last place. Felt like he was always 5 to 6 seconds behind the whole entire field. Now, with the strategy differences, he's in the middle of the field. He looks a lot more comfortable racing around other drivers, and right now, racing around some of the best, as currently runs in 14th place, and just looking for opportunities to make this inside row work.
Yeah, Ben Kinney doing everything he can. He's been doing really impressive tonight, keeping up with these guys. But on the inside, he is definitely taking a very interesting line compared to what everyone else is doing. He's entering those turns very shallow, how low he is. But, still, he's making the passes work. He's making that car have the momentum down the straightaways. It looks like he's about to be challenged again by Shane Tarian. And now the 17 of Chris Stitz, they're going to put him in the middle as they go 3 wide into 3. And Jake Nichols is also right there waiting to pounce.
Trying to bounce, trying to take an opportunity here for the 98 as Ben Kinney trying to go for one of his best finishes of the season. His best finish so far, 16th at Darlington. And then last week got 17th at the Milwaukee Mile. Be great to see him go for a top 15 here this evening. As up front, it's the battle of the teammates. It's the battle of Lucky Ducks. It's Jared Talmadge, John Forbes, and Brian Noel. Lucky Ducks 1, 2, 3 currently underway as Forbes, Talmadge continue to stay side by side for this lead position and giving us a show as Talmadge keeping the 7 close to the outside wall as they enter the corner.
Talmadge and Forbes, and these guys, they seem to have a very equal setting when it comes to skill between the two drivers. They are always driving, racing around each other, very equal in speed and pace. These two are impressive. I feel like Jared Talmadge has learned quite a bit from John Forbes when they started racing together on the same team. So it has been impressive to watch Jared Talmadge and his improvement as he's able to challenge John Forbes quite often and even make passes on him.
Yeah, if you've been watching us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for a long time and all the different leagues that we've covered, we really have seen the growth of Jared Talmadge and John Forbes. Forbes kind of was the first driver that took the big leaps, went on to dominate the end seasons of the ISRC Truck Series before they went on their hiatus. Then Forbes moved over to the WSSR where he was able to grab a championship, show some great pace, some winning numbers. Jared Talmadge was always in the wings, learning, developing, getting faster, and trying to find ways to match this 7 machine in the last couple of seasons, especially over the offseason. between season 11 and 12, we have seen Jared Talmadge take leaps and bounds to now he is a driver that is in the thick of this championship hunt. Now they all have to find a way to stop Jake Nichols, but Jared Talmadge is right there, tied 4th in points with Ryan Kelly, and is trying his best to go for his first win this season at an oval track that is not a super speedway course. Now, I know Michigan, Richard, it's got super speedway tendencies, but this is a much different beast compared to a Talladega, Daytona, or Atlanta super speedway.
Yeah, it's definitely still a lot different. It is a 2-mile oval still, but the banking on the turns is not as aggressive as that of Daytona and Talladega. You don't have restrictor plates on these cars, kind of requiring draft to be able to catch up and pass these guys. So, I mean, it's still very different, but also similar in different ways as well. Like when you're going down the straightaways, I mean, in order to really catch the guy in front of you, you do need some drafting, though we have noticed, like we mentioned earlier, these cars don't really have a very strong draft for them. So, but yeah, no, it's great to see Jared Talmadge. It'd be great to see him win on a regular super speedway style track instead of just super speedway. But he's doing a great job, as these two, they are not really driving as a team. They are driving for each, themselves. And it's great to see his teammates still battling it out, but also keeping it nice and clean.
Well, last week didn't give us really a spectacular finish at the end to be categorized in our best finishes of the year, but these two drivers were really a part of our latest video that we uploaded here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting of our best finishes of 2025. Jared Talmadge had a lot of great super speedway finishes there in the video, as well as we've seen John Forbes always giving his mark on some fantastic finishes at the end. And these two trying to go for a classic as they continue to go back and forth. But you got to be careful not to throw away this incredible battle we're watching. Richard right there up next to turn 2. Talmadge almost completely threw it away with slight contact to the 7 machine.
Oh, you might be teammates. You might still be racing and putting on a good show and trying to run for the win yourself. But at the end of the day, you're still teammates. Try not to take each other out, because you would hate to have 2 teammates DNF because you both took each other out. So you can still race hard. Just keep out of each other. And, Talmadge almost ruined that moment, but still, they're able to keep it off each other and still stay in the 1-2 position and run that close to each other. It's right wrong now with Larry Yingling here being challenged by the 77 machine with Chris Stiss just in front of him.
Going back and forth with all these battles. In that last lap, the fastest driver out on track, the 24 of Ollie Fonseca in 3rd place. He's watching the victory battles go back and forth. But the 24, he's going to be a driver that you have to keep an eye out as they continue to race on. But into pit road is Brian Noel in the 00, making the green flag pit stop.
Finally getting some green flag pit stops. We'll have to see. It's more than likely going to be tires and fuel for the 00 machine, as he had been out on track for quite a while there, but we'll have to see what he decides to do. He's now in the pit box, getting some right side tires. That'll drop down here in a second. Should move over to the left side, get the 4 tires, get the fuel, get back out on track. Left sides go up as the cars are coming around turn 3 and 4. He will more than likely go a lap down, but that should start the case of green flag pit stops very shortly.
Well, it could, but also it looks like this is a statement pit stop by the 00 of we are going for a 2-stop strategy. We are going to be pitting at the end of around lap 90 to 95. It's going to be the range for this 00. Well, the rest of the field, they can still go for another 18 more laps before they have to think about their next pit stop, or they maybe think about pushing a little bit further than that to turn this race into a 1-stop at the end of this thing. So there's a lot of different gambles that are on the line right now. There's an absolute definitive 2-stop call by the 00. Now it's in the hands of the rest of the field. Who wants to react to make sure they stay ahead of the 00, or do they all think this 2-stop is not the call for the end of this race?
Yeah, not very often do I see the 2-stop, if it's a decision between a 1 or a 2-stop call, do I see the 2-stop ever really truly working out. It's just the amount of tire wear off, it usually plateaus at a certain amount of time, and it's just you can't make up the amount of time it takes to go down pit road, get service done, and get back out on track. There's just a lot of time lost by doing so. The biggest thing about the 2-stop strategy, though, is typically waiting for a good caution to help you out. So he might be doing that, try to make up some time, wait for the caution. You might be able to stay out and utilize the newer tires that you have. But it's usually doesn't pan out for the two-stop strategy for drivers.
Betsy Gollum will continue to watch and see how the Double Zero's decision works out for himself as the leaders having their fun, going back and forth with the passes between John Forbes and Jared Talmadge. Ollie Fonseca going to be getting to the outside wall. He saw a chance to continue to close in on this gap. He was within a second, but with that brush to the outside wall, might push himself outside of that second window. Got to be careful with some of these moves, as these have been some spectacular moments of the 4 wide, the 5 wide, and all these passes for the lead. And if you would like to show off some of your spectacular moments in life with fantasy sports, iRacing, or beyond, head on over to TrophySmack.com. Celebrate your victories with Trophy Smack's Wall Smack collection, as well as so many other great trophies, from championship rings, belts, trophies, and their Wall Smack product, which is a custom high-gloss metal piece of artwork that you get to design for your own liking. You can have it on their wall-safe magnet mounting system or on a stand. And when you're purchasing your Wall Smack from Trophy Smack, remember to use the promo code WSSR Smack at checkout for that 10% off. Wall Smack, thank you for Trophy Smack. Thank you so much for all of these incredible sponsors that have joined with us. Again, if you'd like to go check out more from Trophy Smack, go to TrophySmack.com. As Richard, the field continues to race on, and we are officially into the second half of this race. There's been the ups and downs, there's been the cautions, but this has been the most spread out we've seen the field be so far.
Yeah, the long run has finally hit. The spread out from the field is happening. This is what a lot of the drivers that look for the long run pace, they try to wait for, because this is when they can slowly start methodically, cutting their way through the field, as we see Jake Nichols kind of doing that now as he gets around Larry Yingling. He's making some moves very slow, very methodically, and not utilizing or not really wasting the resource of his tires very hard now, because these passes are going to come pretty easy against the people that have kind of worn out their tires.
Yeah, I'm looking at throughout the drivers that just topped off on fuel. Majority of them are outside of our top 7. Brian McCann, the only driver that topped off on fuel, as well as Vincent Sora, that are in 4th and 5th position. They're kind of just watching how the tires change out. And looking at the pace at this moment, our top 3 kind of in their own zip code compared to the battle lane that's happening, like you see on screen. For 7th place, Thomas Green, Douglas Newbegin having their back and forth. Zach Hall has moved up to 13th position. And there's a lot of drivers slowly just waiting. This is kind of that tough part of these long run races where everyone gets spread out, is you're now thinking about the strategy. Do I want to push this run even further? Douglas Newbegin getting very close to the outside wall. As the drivers that are further back in the field, you're thinking about the strategies and what are the next steps. Well, everyone up front, and maybe you're just thinking, I got to go full board, get everything I can. And is there really, Richard, when you're up front, a mindset that changes to, I've got to salvage this car to get to the pit stop?
Yeah, it's definitely a different mindset when you're up front and you got, a different tire strategy, different pit strategy than everybody else. It's definitely always a mind game between all the drivers on who's going to do what, because you hate to be the driver that goes first, because sometimes that can bite you in the butt. I mean, the undercut definitely can help out, but it's always a gamble. It's always a numbers game, trying to figure out when's the best time. You got to balance how much fuel you got left versus how much tire usage you've been using. It's always a balancing game, always these numbers that they're playing through their head while they're driving. They don't usually have a crew chief that's making these decisions for them. We as drivers here on iRacing, we've got to make those decisions, including coming to the pit, figure out what we need to adjust prior to coming down pit road, and then making a decision to come down and get the service done.
A couple of more drivers aiming that this is a 2-stop race for themselves. Cedric Hunter going to be going into pit road. Zach Hall leaving pit road, as you saw there on the apron, through 1 and 2. So a couple of more are going to be adding into that Brian Noel strategy of, we got to make our pit stop now. Give ourselves plenty of time. I feel like when you're going for these 2-stop strategies, sometimes drivers try to minimize that second stop so much they don't give themselves enough time to maximize their tires, push as aggressively as you can to put down these fast laps. And we're watching the leaders go back and forth, and this is a form of, where do you want to place yourself on that strategy call? As Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter They feel like they've made the right call for themselves. The rest of the field are top 18. They still need to make that call. When do you want to make your next pit stop? And how long can you stretch the fuel out? Because for a lot of drivers, we're about 10 laps away from maybe the furthest they can go. Maybe 11 laps from here. We're really getting to that narrow portion of when drivers are forced to pit road.
Yeah, let's get to that narrow size. Brian McCann, he decides to duck out from the top 5. He's going to come down and get service. It's time for him to get some new tires and some fuel up in the fuel tank. But, I mean, this is going to be a decision. He's going to take 2 tires or 4. That's going to be interesting to watch to see if there's a decision made there on if that's an option that they can do. But, I mean, they're at the point now where it's going to be a one stop from here. They pit now. They have one more pit stop the rest of the race, and then they go out the rest of the way. So we'll have to see what Brian McCann does as the right sides go up currently to begin his service. But he is the first one of those top 5 runners to finally come in and take service. It's going to be 4 fresh tires and a full tank of fuel.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be yet where they're in that zone of making it on a one stop. I mean, making it from here if you pit, but certainly it's going to be a close one for some to turn this race into a one stop after making a pit stop. Of how do you maximize your fuel and strategy wise of time being lost with these gambles? But Richard, I mean, this is certainly a math game from here on out, and these are the type of races that have kind of cost, we haven't really spoke his name very often because Jake Nichols has been stuck further back. He's currently in 7th position, but this was the type of race that kind of forced Jake Nichols to lose at Kansas. Was a strategy call race, which if you're not careful being John Force, Jarrett Talmadge, if you're flirting with disaster for too long, you could be throwing this race away with making the wrong strategy call on when you head into pit road.
Yeah, it's so crazy that a race can be lost when your decision to go into pit road was not the right timing, because that could easily be a 1 or 2 second difference from the time it takes you to slow down, get your service done, and get back up to speed. I mean, you can lose an easily 2 to 3 seconds of gap from you to who was behind you to now you're actually behind them and trying to catch back up to them. So, I mean, pit road can definitely make or break a race for drivers who are racing up in front.
As they continue to go back and forth, here is Nichols Terrian as well. Has seen a few others just going back and forth. That's the 3 of Ryan Kelly involved in that little bit of a squabble, as all this is for 7th, 8th, and 9th position currently, as we are now within 5 to 8 laps for when pit road will open for some of these drivers to make their stop. Only 4 have gone into pit road so far, being Brian Noel 13 laps ago, Brian McCann, one of the most recent ones, 2 laps ago, Zach Hall 5 laps ago, and Cedric Hunter 4 laps ago. And who will be the next? It's Vincent Sora in the 15. He'll be the next driver to make a stop.
Yeah, Vincent Sora's going to take that dive down that long pit road on the front stretch there. He's going to be getting service done. So now I wonder if this is going to start drawing more and more drivers down pit road to get service done, because, I mean, it just depends on how many laps these guys can run to gain some time. So that's the biggest thing. When these guys come back out on these fresh tires, they're going to be running 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds faster than everybody else on the field. That is time lost for the people that are staying out on longer tires. Now, on the back end, they can make that time up over a longer period of time, but that's always the gamble, because eventually, like I said earlier, those tires will plateau and everybody will be running the same times again. So right now, the early part of these pit stops, these guys will benefit in the early run, but then they could fall off later to the guys that pit just a few laps after.
And then also the gamble of what if a caution comes out? That is always lingering when you're one of these first drivers to hit pit road, and you're just hoping, please do not throw out a caution. I feel like my strategy is going to work. And then a yellow comes out, you're trapped a lap down. Other drivers might have just worn out their tires so much that now they have to just hope that they get another quick caution before they use a set. And that is going to be the tough pill to swallow for some of this race. It has a caution here right in the middle of this pit cycle. 3 drivers are 1 lap down. Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora. They're waiting to try to utilize their rubber to get back onto the lead lap, as John Forbes starting to pull away, and that little bit of fun back and forth between the 7 and the 27 looks to be over. Now, some of the closest battles on track is the battle for 5th for our highest position of the closest battle. And Cedric Hunter and Vincent Sora battling for last place is another close one that's happening. As the field waits, we have now entered into the pit zone for drivers. If they were not saving fuel, you could be in danger in the next 3 to 4 laps. Pit road is about to get very busy unless people were in extreme save mode and they somehow can stretch the fuel out even longer.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to watch when the drivers decided to come down pit road and who's all going to come down together or how they're going to space this all out between each other. Because, I mean, when you have a lot of drivers trying to come down the pit road at the same time, you have different braking zones. People are going to be coming in at different speeds because some people can brake a lot later. This can cause some stack-ups. This can cause a caution. So every single one of these drivers have got to be careful and respect the guy in front of them when it's their time to come into the pits.
Shane Terry going to be one of the first drivers up front to now enter pit road here on lap 75. Other drivers looking to enter pit road. Also going to be Ethan Smith following in suit. And this is the pit stop that we've been waiting for. Everyone entering pit road. And these next couple laps, you got to make sure you enter cleanly. You don't get caught speeding on entry, exit, slide through your box. There are a multitude of different factors that can just throw your race away with this one stop. And for some, this isn't even the money stop. And you also got to make sure you don't just clobber the wall like John Forbes just did.
John Forbes hitting the wall coming out of the turn to Cedric Hunter. They're trying to get his lap back naturally. He has gotten into pits. He has been out for 10 laps now after his pit stop, but he is going to get his lap back naturally from John Forbes. So Cedric Hunter back on the lead lap, but John Forbes and Jarrett Talmadge are still going out and staying out on these tires.
I think the most impressive thing is that they've been battling back and forth, and they still have been pulling away from the rest of the field. Now, I know there's been, for some drivers, a little bit of a tire difference because some did take tires on their last pit stop. Some only took fuel. So the tire wear is majorly different for a couple of others compared to our top two. But this has been very impressive by John Forbes and Jared Talmadge with all the haymakers they've thrown to still be some of the fastest out there on track on this older set of tires. Very impressive to see as one driver sent to pit road required damage for himself. It's the one of Gavin Rogers. He has to go to pit road as he's got a required damage flag. Also caught speeding is Ethan Smith. He's got to come back into pit road as he's going to have a hold penalty.
Oh, that is terrifying to have. You got to pay attention to your speed going into pit road. But Gavin Rogers having a meatball being required to come into pits, that is unfortunate for himself as he's got to try to get service done. Don't know if that was a blown tire or damage to the car, but unfortunate for the defending champion of Gavin Rogers.
I believe it was a blown tire. That's what some of the drivers are saying over the radio as the majority of the field now entering pit road as John Forbes, Jared Talmadge, they were side by side for the lead for themselves. Now Douglas Newbigin going to be taking over that lead position with Jake Nichols in second, Chuck Sweeting in third, Ryan Kelly in fourth. And the rest of our top six, Larry Yingling, Thomas Green, still waiting to make their stop, as well as Ben Keeney. Everyone else has entered pit road, has either done at least one stop or not. As we watch the replay and see what happened on this lap before the one went into pit road, and I think it is just a blown tire for himself. There really wasn't any signs that he hit the wall. There was no damage on the outside shell that would show any damage arrow-wise. It just looks like he exits the corner and away that front right goes, and he has to go into pit road this time around.
Yeah, he's only in his box for 15.5 seconds also. That's definitely not any damage repair time. That's just getting tires and fuel. So, yep, he just wore out that right front tire to where it had 0% life in it, which is iRacing's equivalent to having a flat tire in the service. So, unfortunate for Gavin Rogers because, he lost a ton of time trying to get back to pit road because once that tire reaches 0%, there is no grip in it at all. It makes that car extremely hard to turn.
You got us come to almost what feels like a complete stop going into corners. Same, another driver who also had a blown tire, Ben Keeney, he's able to get into pit road as his tire went away right when he went into pit road entry. And now we're left with just a couple of drivers that still need to pit. Douglas Newbigin, Jake Nichols, Thomas Green. They're trying to stretch the fuel out. 41 laps has been Douglas Newbigin out there on course on this set in fuel. 40 laps for Nichols and Green. and they have been out there for so long just trying to find a way to stretch the fuel out. And this is a scary picture for the rest of the field because no one else got this far. They are now in the window if they can stretch the fuel out again to turn this stint into a one-stop as everyone else has to pit one more time.
This is impressive work for those three drivers of Nichols, Green, and Newbigging. If they can make this, if they can pit now, and if they save the fuel like they do next, this could really be the deciding factor of whether these guys win the race or not. The downside is they probably still will be going quite a bit slower to save the fuel in order to make it. And, we'll have to see what the difference in time will be on the newer fresh tires for those guys. But impressive work for those guys going 42, 41 laps. 43 laps now for Douglas.
43 for Douglas? This is insane for himself. Into pit road is going to be Jake Nichols, Thomas Green as well into pit road. And Douglas is clutching. He's saving his fuel in the 77. Might be in a margin where he doesn't even have to think about saving fuel. He can just go full bore and be okay.
Yeah, just impressive work from Douglas Newbigging, clutching, being able to go 43 laps in this fuel tank. It does look like he is going to make that left-hand turn to come down into pit road now, though. But impressive work from Douglas Newbigging, and that could potentially, as long as he gets in clean and out clean, that can make the difference of whether he can win this race or whether it's going to be someone else on fresher tires to do so.
Brian McCann expected to be the new leader once getting by the 77 who pitted 15 laps ago. The two drivers that were bickering back and forth and giving us such a great show, John Forbes, Jared Talmadge, they are back in 7th and 8th place, going to be now 6th and 7th. Well, they are mired about 6 seconds away from Brian McCann, still trying to run down. They've got a faster cars. They're running about a half a second faster than this 8 machine, but the issues of having traffic around, not as great as it was during that last restart. As they continue to race on for us, we will step away. Green flag pit stops are done for that go around. Majority of the field still has one more stop before the race is over. A handful should be good to take it to the end. We'll find out whose strategy is the better one to take us to the end as we will take a quick commercial break. It's been a pleasure to give you the call of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Race 8 here in Michigan. We'll be back after this as we've got more racing action and one more green flag pit stop to go. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, as pit stops are underway. You are watching the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs, Season 12, racing at Michigan. We've got 3 drivers attempting to take this race to the end with no more pit stops. The rest of the field, they still need to make a pit stop right here, right now, as Brian McCann got caught by Vincent Sora. They both decide to head into pit road. And now the race is left in the hands of John Force, Jared Talmadge, that have to maximize these tires, or do they decide to hit pit road? We'll find out as the race continues on here on Freaky Cats Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Richard Wolsifer. Running production in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. And Richard, I mean, this is kind of a wait and see fluid motion we're in. You got a majority of the field that still needs to pit. Then you've got Douglas Newbigging, Jake Nichols, and Thomas Green. Good. They should be, in quotations, good on fuel to take it to the end of this race. This is wide open on who's going to take this thing as you're watching drivers being side by side racing for the lead of the 7 and 27.
Yeah, right now it's just kind of a sit and wait, see what strategy kind of pans out, because these drivers are all spread out for the most part. Got a small battles here and there, but not a lot of heavy aggressive driving at the moment. Everyone's just kind of running their race and going with whatever strategy call they made. It's interesting to watch, though, to see what strategy pays off and who's going to be the one on top at the end of this, as we've had a few pit stops happen not too long ago.
We certainly did have a few pit stops. It's from 11th on back, where drivers have made their final stops of the day. That's Brian McCann, Vincent Sora, Brian Noel, Shane Tarian, Gavin Rogers, all making their stops. I take that back. Actually, Gavin Rogers and Jan Van Leer need to still pit before this race is over. Cedric Hunter has made his final pit stop. Zach Colby his final pit stop. Matt Meir, Ben Keeney, and Ethan Smith, all those 3 as well, still need to make a stop as they're all still a lap down. So there's a couple of drivers that are a lap down where their race just kind of fell apart overall. But John Force, Jared Talmadge up front, they have been the kind of entertainment with some of the action in the middle as well. As you can see, the 00 in the 9 trying to find their footing to muscle their way by our leaders and stay on the lead lap. And here we go. The teammates head into pit road. Jan Van Leer is going to be following in suit as well. The final pit stops for a couple of more front runners is on the way as Ollie Fonseca stays out and trying to get that lap lead and bonus point for the 24.
Great work for Ollie Fonseca. Going to get that bonus point for leading the lap for the number 24 machine, but he's still got to, again, make his pit stop. He's been out for 20 laps. He's got to worry about his fuel still, and got to see what his strategy call is going to be to make it the rest of the way. But Ollie doing a great job getting that bonus point while the teammates decided to pull in and pit, who were right ahead of him.
And this is that odd scenario of, do you have enough time to run down your competition? Like we were talking about before that last pit stops really started up, was when you make these strategy calls of a 1-stop or a 2-stop, when you're going for the 2-stop, you got to run so fast that you can take all of that time back of those that are making the 1-stop and not giving enough time by coming into pit road. The rest of the field, they've got to run down the 77, the 73, the 31. That's your competition. Can you catch up to them? And right now, Brian McCann just lingering, still over about 17 seconds back from Douglas Newbigging. We're still about 20 seconds, 20 laps to go in this race. You're hoping that you can continue to run down that 77, but like you said, Richard, the plateau factor, this is going to be close for those that are attempting to run down those drivers that are good on fuel.
Yeah, I mean, as a driver, it is so hard to decide on when you need to come into pits, because, I mean, you know, if you come in later, you know those guys are going to come out on fresher tires and be able to just run you down. Now, I think the one saving grace of these guys that are running later is they might attempt a 2-tire stop. That will reduce the amount of time they're on pit road by a good 3, 4, 5 seconds, and that could be the difference on what can make, give them the position they need. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see which drivers decide they take a 2-tire stop to maintain track position. But I think it could work if they could just go. Actually, right about now is when you probably want to pit for the 2-tire strategy.
And you're curious about who's willing to take that gamble. There's three drivers that have already taken that gamble. John Forbes, who runs in 10th place, Shane Tarian in 11th, as well as Jarrett Talmadge in 13th. All have taken the gamble of 2 tires. Is it enough to cut the time down to catch up to Douglas Newbigin, Jake Nichols, and Thomas Green, which those drivers continue to go back and forth, and you can see the 73 of Jake Nichols trying to grab his 5th win of the season. Can he get it done as he's attempting to make the pass on Douglas Newbigin? Nichols, the way he's racing, it's practically like he knows he's good on fuel, while Douglas Newbigin has just been floating around, kind of just running his own race. Might have forgotten that 73 is who you have to stop right now.
Yeah, Douglas Newbigin, he also is still trying to save fuel. He might not think he can make it, but Jake Nichols is able to get around. And based on numbers, Jake Nichols, I think, should be able to make this by running as fast as he possibly can, because it's only got 18 laps left of the race, and he's only been out there for 20 laps. That is right at the edge of the fuel run. So Jake Nichols could very well potentially make it the rest of this race without letting any steam out.
He's going to continue to muscle his way forward, but we still wait for plenty of other drivers that need to pit. Ollie Fonseca, Ryan Kelly, as well as Chuck Sweeting still need to pit, as well as Larry Yingling in 8th place. Those drivers that are up front inside of our top 10 are not okay on fuel. They still need to pit before this race is over. And for those that are staying out, I mean, they can stay out for another 10 laps. But the reason why they continue to stay out is instead of, I'm going to go into the pits, maximize my tires, hope that I gain all this time back, it's, I'm going to stay out and hope and pray. Our caution, please come out to save my race.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers, they are definitely hoping for that late race caution. But again, with the amount of spread out that these guys have, the odds of that happening is going to be in the hands of just a driver making one small mistake versus just the stack up of other cars. So, I mean, the odds of a caution coming out is pretty small. You can't really be betting on that right now. Right now, you're just kind of hoping for one if you're in a position where you need one. And Ryan McCann, though, he's trying to make his way back up. He wants to be able to be the first driver to, or not the first driver, but like to be able to go from starting in the pole and winning the race. He wants to have that little chip on his shoulder.
And we've seen a lot of fluidity in the weather as well. Let's take a look at the weather so far in this race. We saw at one moment the track temperature was up to 105 degrees. It was even higher than that at one moment. It's now dropped to 103 degrees Fahrenheit for the track temp. It's a degree higher than it was at the start of the race at 102. The wind has been blowing. Was at 5 miles per hour. It's climbed up to almost 11 to 12 at times. And it continues to go back and forth, pushing in that southwest, this west direction. And it's just been an up and down evening. Speaking of up and down, we've got 3 cautions here tonight if you're just joining us, as we've also had plenty of different lead changes with all the different pit stop strategies to allow drivers to take the lead. It's been a lot of searching for the field, and currently Ryan McCann, he was searching for victory for the 8 machine. He got the pole, but the stats were not on his side. No pole sitter has ever won here at Michigan in the WSSR Cup Series, and it's looking like that stat might hold once again, as Ollie Fonseca still out there on course. But Richard, it's really the numbers game. It just looks like a lot of these guys are going to run out of time to catch up to Douglas Newbigin and Jake Nichols, but man, are they trying their best to cut down on this difference.
Yeah, they're doing everything they possibly can, but I mean, it does look like it's going to be a Jake Nichols, Douglas Newbigin fight for the finish. I mean, it just depends on how much speed they want to give up. I mean, they're going just over 0.6 faster than, or slower than Brian McCann right now. So Brian McCann's doing a good job running faster laps currently, but it's just a matter of time. He's 20 seconds behind the leader, so really about 12 or 13 behind Nichols and Newbigin. It's very possible he could catch him near the end of this run.
Yeah, but again, like I said, he's only gaining in about 7 to 0.6 a lap. That math does not add up to where he will be even close to get to their bumper. He'll still be about 3 to 4 seconds off of Nichols and Newbigin. So you got to hope that there's a little bit of extra pace in there, as well as John Forbes. He looks to now be trying to become the new lead driver of those that are good on fuel and tires that have pitted twice under this green flag run. And the 7 machine attempting to get by the 8, and it looks like he will do so. Battling for 6th place, also Vincent Sora, Thomas Green. They're all attempting to just do the best that they can. Thomas Green is kind of running out of time to try to keep with pace of the front runners, but the battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th is kind of a bizarre one that I'm watching, Richard, because these drivers are battling for position, yes, but they're also the lead group that are trying to run down Nichols, Newbigging. I don't think that they know that they're racing the wrong guys. You gotta get in line, work together, catch up to Nichols and Newbigging, because if you race like this, you're throwing any chance away to win this race, and you're battling for maybe 3rd, 4th, and 5th currently, or just bring out a caution as McCann and Forbes get into one another. Sora goes low as they head into 3. They'll stay 3 wide. Sora is clear, and now the 15. He's got to make the charge, but Forbes is still lingering on.
It was almost a scary situation. It kind of looked like Brian McCann just drove up into the door of Vincent Sora, or number 7 of John Forbes. John Forbes then gives a shot to Vincent Sora out of the turn there. These guys are very aggressive with each other right now. And, you know, you're saying they need to get in line and chase down Nichols and Newbigging, but you also said that there is not enough time for them to be able to chase them down. So right now they are racing for every position, every point that they could possibly get, and these are the 3 that they have to race against.
And if you're Ollie Fonseca, Ryan Kelly, Chuck Sweeting, I mean, that was the caution you were hoping for, but they didn't get sideways enough with oncoming traffic. They kept it straight, and now we continue to stay green flag racing. 10 laps to go. Fonseca, Kelly, also Chuck Sweeting. They got only about 3-4 laps before they're forced to pit road. The rest of the field are good on fuel and tires, and it is just a race to the end. Nichols looks to be the favorite currently. Douglas Newbigging's really got nothing under the tires. He is just floundering back and losing time. The 73, if we stay green, he looks poised for win number 5 of the season. And the rest of the field's going to be scratching their head thinking, this could have been, probably should have been our race to win, with how dominant that this 70, the way that everyone else looked dominant. The 73 was in the middle of the pack all race long.
Yeah, he was in the middle of the pack all race long, but he was biding his time. He was saving the fuel when he needed it and stretched that fuel tank to its very max that he could have possibly got out of it, allowing for those extra long run to be able to pit a lot later and narrow this run down to just a one-stop strategy for him. He didn't have to pit again for fuel. He should be able to make it the rest of the way without having to lose a lot of ground. So Nichols played the smart game, not necessarily the fast one, and it's about to pay off for him tonight.
Hey, look through the field. There's not a lot of close battles happening right now. The battle for 6th is probably one of the closer ones. You've got John Forbes, Vincent Sora, Brian McCann that are within a half a second of one another. And then the closest battle on track is for 14th. Chris Stitz, Zach Hall. Stitz has better tires, expected to get by Hall and just continue to motor his way forward. And then it's a waiting game of fuel. Who can stretch it? When do you see these final 3 drivers make their final pit stop? And a waiting game of Nichols. Did he save enough fuel, or is he going too fast? Because Douglas Newbigging, I mean, he's still slowing down quite a bit. I'm kind of seeing this 77 at this current time, and the way he's racing around this track, it almost looks like maybe he's trying to save fuel, even though I thought maybe he was going to be good.
Yeah, he's trying to save fuel. It looks like Newbigging not thinking he's going to be able to make it. Unfortunate to see the strategy call not playing out the way he was hoping, but Jake Nichols not really losing any time. He's actually gained a little bit from earlier, so he is still full bore, ready to get this race over with as he crosses the line now with 5 laps to go for Jake before he scores himself his fifth win of the season.
So you can draw more drivers. Going to get past Chuck Sweeting. Is going to get passed now by John Forbes, as well by Vincent Sora. The difference now is less than 12, now 13 seconds between John Forbes and Jake Nichols. It's less than 10 seconds, the difference between Douglas Newbigging and John Forbes. And with 6 laps to go, those numbers are just not adding up properly. Ollie Fonseca really a no man's zone where we don't know if he really has enough fuel to continue going on. Ryan Kelly doesn't. He is forced to pit road. Gavin Rogers forced to pit road. And this is kind of the last laps, the last hurrah for those that were staying out and banking on a caution. They need it now. Otherwise, you hand the race over to Jake Nichols, your points leader for this season, and the driver that everyone kind of looked at entering this season as the favorite. It continues to show that he's the favorite, even in a fuel mileage race. You know, we talked about the strength at short tracks, the intermediate tracks, the super speedways. This might be the only racetrack in style of racing that we haven't seen Nichols get a win in. He had a feeling that this guy's going to be the one to watch out for. Ali Fonseca into pit road. He relinquishes the lead of the 73. Now the question is, when will Jake Nichols win at a super speedway? Because he is winning at every other type of track. And now with just 4 laps to go, it's a waiting game of Nichols taking the checkered unless a yellow flag comes out.
Yeah, just under 4 laps to go for Jake Nichols. You saw Douglas Newbigging in the back there, got a little high into the wall and lost a lot of ground, had to go really low. But, you know, it's the question of when will Jake Nichols win a super speedway, but it's also who will be up there challenging him a lot closer near the end of these races, because Jake has just showed up and has dominated every single race he has pretty much been a part of here. And it's just showing his amount of skill and his knowledge he has on this kind of racing.
This 73 has just been on a historic run for himself, but talking about history, we might see a streak end this evening. Ryan Kelly was there with Vincent Sora and Jake Nichols on a streak of every race finishing in the top 10. Well, the 3 better get going quickly because the top 10 is a little bit too far out of his reach, and it looks like that streak could come to an end for the 3, leaving us with just 2 drivers that have finished in the top 10 for every race, being Jake Nichols and Vincent Sora. Sora, 0 wins. Nichols looking for win number 5 of the season.
Yeah, Nichols looking for win number 5. Sora still trying to search for that first win of the season. And unfortunate to see Ryan Kelly drop out of that top 10 every race so far this season as well. So unfortunate for himself. But again, Jake Nichols just putting on a clinic yet again at a larger style speedway, intermediate style track. And just showing that he not only has speed to win, he's got the strategy call and the brain and the math to know when he can make it last as he gets ready to take the white flag.
It is your Sim Precision Prince white flag for the 73 of Jake Nichols. You're 1 more lap to go. Head on over to simprecisionprints.shop to see what 3D modeled one-of-a-kind pieces you can get from racing to other passion projects. Head on over to simprecisionprints.shop and use the promo code WSSR for 10% off on any purchase over $50. Thank you so much to all the amazing sponsors and all those that joined with us here tonight, because Jake Nichols continues on with his winning ways. 2026 is still all Nichols. Winner of race number 8 is the 73 of Jake Nichols in his 5th of the season.
Fantastic run from Jake Nichols, but also a good shout out to Douglas Newbigging. He's able to make the fuel mileage stretch as well as he takes home 2nd place tonight. Douglas has got a great second half of the season started for himself, as that will help solidify him up into the playoffs. Great run for Nichols, great run for Newbigging as the rest of the drivers come and take the checkered flag.
And I know Lucky Duck Motorsports, John Peel, they're all excited for this one. It is a 1, 2, 3 finish for Lucky Ducks for themselves. Even go the listing of how many Lucky Duck drivers are in the top 10, it mounts up to a pretty big number. You also want to give kudos to Thomas Green. He found a way to save the fuel as this thing is done. Jake Nichols out of fuel, but at least got pushed to the start-finish line. Congratulations to the 73 machine. It's a picture we've gotten used to this season. The question is, who can stop him from winning? That will be the true question moving forward. Just enough to putter around, but Nichols gets to enjoy this finale for himself. We will be back right after this as we will talk to our top 3. Jake Nichols, Douglas Newbigging, John Forbes, get their thoughts on this race, and we'll get you prepared for Indy next week. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Tonight, it was all about fuel mileage, and we thought maybe it was Douglas Newbigging. Could it have been Thomas Green? No, it was not. We get to Victory Lane, where we get to talk to this guy for the 5th time this season in Victory Lane. It's Jake Nichols in the 73. Jake, once again, a different style of racing. Fuel mileage was the key, and you still get it done. How are you feeling? Because you were in the thick of a lot of that madness early on in this race.
Yeah, it was it was a little scary throughout the race there. I felt like pitting early was fine. I thought more people would take tires because the whole point was, the gamble on the fuel in that first caution was hoping it would go green and we'd have enough fuel and then we'd have that tire advantage for the rest of the race, essentially. But when I noticed that I was one of only like 3 or 4 cars that took tires, I still needed to go green, but it was a little risky. I felt like if I could have got through traffic, I would have gotten to the lead. But that's when everything went haywire, and I had to just be off strat the whole time, and it was rough. I felt like we were still in a good spot. I had speed. I just couldn't. I never got to really show it tonight. And once that last long run started there, I felt like there was a few of us trying it. And I told Doug, or I felt like with Doug, I thought one of us was going to win the race. We were saving the most from the get-go, and our pace was good. And man, I didn't know if I was going to catch him. It was very hard in dirty air to do much, and especially being on the edge of fuel. I was literally within tenths of a lap on fuel the whole run, and I had to turn up the wick a little bit because I wanted to win this race. I wanted to steal it. It's weird saying that, but I just wanted to get it, and so we changed our lineup, tried to get to him and passed him, and just gave him the dirty air and saved the rest of the race. And thankfully, we had enough, just barely enough fuel to get around there, do a Polish victory lap like we love doing, and a tiny burnout in the victory lane, but better than nothing.
Yeah, another impressive run from you, Jake. I mean, it's just kind of seeming like this is your season, and you know what to do with this car and every track you go to. I mean, how much practice do you put in through the week to be able to make these calls just on a whim every single time?
To be honest with you, I didn't run a single lap at Michigan in this car till the session went up. So, most of the time, I might run a few laps just to get acclimated with things and see what it's like to know what I'm in for. But I did look at the fuel number right off the get-go, like right when we were getting out of pit road. I was like, guys, we might need to save just to have a shot to do one less pit stop. And obviously, cautions changed that anyways. But it still ended up being that type of race later on. It just was one less, cycle than normal. But, tonight I just showed up, wanted to have fun, and I like this track, so it's like I felt like I'd be good. I didn't quite like the feel that much, especially for short run. I felt like I was pretty just there on short run, but I felt like my long run was going to be the key, but I didn't really get to show it. I don't really truly know if I was going to be like super good long run or not, but we did the right strat, and that's what counts.
You certainly did make the right strategy, Jake, and your points lead continues to grow even more after this victory. With only 4 more races left in the regular season before the chase begins, what is your mentality in these final 4? Is it just continue on, or are you still trying to learn some stuff before the chase begins?
Yeah, just keep winning, I guess. We've got ourselves a good spot where we can kind of risk it a little bit. I'm not the kind of guy to go like checkers or wreckers anyway, so it's even with the gap, I'm not going to go crash my car just to crash it. I want to, I'm super consistent minded where I just want to be there at the finish. If you're out there on the finish, or at the finish, you can win the race. So that's my goal at the end of the day, and it was a little scary tonight. I didn't really lead a lap until 3 or 4 to go, so it was a little sketchy, but at the end of the day, it worked out. So we'll take that.
It certainly did, Jake. Will you continue on your consistency? You and Vincent Soros, now the only drivers to finish in the top 10 every race so far this season. Congratulations on that. And the floor is now yours for any other shout outs that you have.
Well, thanks to everyone at Lucky Ducks Motorsports. We got a lot of good finishes there with the 1, 2, 3. A few others in the top 10 as well, which is really nice to see. And overall, it's a good night for us all. And we got to thank everyone at Lucky Ducks, JWR Race Cars, No Kid Hungry, Stand Up to Cancer, and Tiltify, AmeriCares, and all of our drivers here. We have a good group of drivers, and they're very consistent. They were running up front all night. Some were on the right strat side, some weren't, but either way, we had a driver up there battling for the win pretty much the whole night, and that's what you love to see. So we'll take that.
Certainly do. Well, Jake, congratulations on another win this season, and cannot wait to see you perform next week at Indianapolis.
Thank you. See you then, hopefully.
Hopefully, as that will be your 5-time winner this season. We now move to second place to talk to Douglas Newbegin, who had the best on fuel when he went into pit road, but had to salvage for a second place as Nichols got by. Douglas, a strong performance for yourself. You had one of the more unique styles getting around this racetrack with staying low. I felt like the whole entire time, but it works out for a second place finish here this evening. How are you feeling with your performance tonight?
Pretty good. I'd say pretty good. I gotta show off my bottom line here. So whenever we go here, I'm always catfishing, no matter what car we're in, whether it works or not. And somewhat worked today. Definitely new tires that work pretty good, but I think this last run, especially kind of going full bore this time around, just kind of hurt the right front a little too much. Trying to run the bottom of 1 and 2, misses a couple times. That just kind of caught me at the end there with the last 10 laps when Jake got around me. Then dirty air, everything kind of ruined it. But yeah, so I guess not bad. So I'll take it. It kind of been not having the best season so far, and kind of been slowly turning around here in the last couple of weeks. So trying to make something happen, I guess, with it now.
Yeah, Douglas, I was going to mention it's been a rough start to the season, but you've really been picking it up these past couple of weeks. I mean, last week put you into the top 16 in points to make sure you can get into the playoffs, and this second place will help increase that point buffer for yourself. How are you feeling, know that you finally made it into the playoff contention?
Pretty good, honestly. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty good. I'm definitely hoping we get the playoffs. I am going to Daytona though, so I don't know what Wednesday that falls on, but I know I'm gonna be missing that race. So I'm hoping that I can build enough of a point gap here to where maybe it's like other people go to Daytona, I might just sneak in, you know what I mean? So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, hopefully I make the playoffs. A lot of really strong tracks for me in the playoffs. I think at least kind of like this track where it doesn't matter the car, right? I feel like no matter what I'm in, I'm gonna be pretty good, and hopefully the setup is a little looser. Maybe iRacing setup, whoever makes it. Hopefully they just kind of messed up those setups and they're loose magically instead of being plow boxes like they always are. But we'll see. I'm hopeful. So see how it goes.
That's honestly what we're hoping for too. We know it's kind of been a struggle these last couple of races of, I should say, most of the season with how this vehicle's been driving. But we're heading to Indianapolis. We know that's got maybe a high up. If the setup works properly, it could give us a good race. But then we head to Mexico City, where a lot of unknowns kind of line up. How are you feeling about the road course here in 2 weeks that we have?
I'm so prepared for it. It's not even by it yet. So that's how prepared I am for it. So we'll see. I guess I'll put in the some time into it then if I'm gonna be fighting for a playoff spot and I'm normally missing that race. So yeah, just gotta get practicing. So hopefully my Daytona 24 skills on practice for transfer over a little bit. Hopefully. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see how it goes. Well, Douglas, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, shout out Wounded Warrior Project, front of the car. Elwood Designs, sponsor. No Kid Hungry, obviously. They've been helping us out. We've been helping them out for the longest time now throughout the seasons. Simrat Market for the awesome base templates. If you like any of the Lucky Duck schemes, most of them are on Simrat Markets. So you can go pick them up today. Get the base at least for them. Tiltify, shout out them. TrophySmack.com, Sim Racer Hub, Freak Fast Broadcast. You guys in the booth, you guys are always awesome every single week. So I'm gonna give out a shout out to you guys and all my teammates. Shout out to all of them too. Yeah, that's about it. I think it's been a minute since I've been in the broadcast booth up here, so too long.
It certainly has. Well, Douglas, it was good to talk with you. Congratulations on second place and good luck next week at Indy.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm gonna need it. It's definitely not one of my best tracks, but who knows? I might get lucky again, so we'll see.
That's what we hope for. Well, that'll be your second place finisher in the 77 of Douglas Newbigging. As we go down to third to talk to another 7 machine, it's the 7 of John Forbes Jr. John, you come away third at the end of the day. You were the leader of those that had to make a 2-stop under that last green flag run. I mean, it certainly looked amazing, the late battles that was going on between yourself as well as Vincent Sora, Brian McCann. But you come away at third at the end of the day. How are you feeling after your performance?
Yeah, it feels pretty good. I actually enjoyed running this car tonight, which I knew Michigan. I mean, it's always a good track for me, and I kind of had that confidence coming into tonight. But the car actually was able to be raced, and you could run different lines. So I had a blast out there. Me and Vince Sora, we had a crazy battle. I had battles with everybody throughout the whole night. So I called my strategy of the 2-stop instead of trying to save it, the fun strategy, just because I was able to battle with everybody all night and kind of just have a good time. But it wasn't the winning strategy at the end of the night, but I feel like I had the most fun out of anybody here. So we're sitting here smiling in the seat after this run tonight.
Yeah, John, definitely seemed like a really fun race for you guys, especially running back there for the third, fourth, and fifth position with you, Vincent, and Brian. I mean, did you realize that it wasn't going to be a winning strategy when you noticed that Newbigging and Nichols were saving fuel?
Yeah, I felt like it would have been the winning strategy, but at the same time, you're like one caution, and we had some cautions at the beginning of the race, and that would have thrown their whole strategy off. So I didn't want to risk my whole strategy and my entire event on that, knowing I was already up front. And I know they kind of got behind early coming in to take extra fuel because that also would have put them in a better spot to take off a stop at the beginning of the race. So they kind of just had the ball in their court, being in the back. They could just kind of see what we were doing. We obviously stayed out, so they were like, "Let's mix it up and try to get the win." And glad it worked out for them. I mean, we came on 1-2-3 tonight for the team here with everybody on board, so that was super cool. I'm sure John Peel is gonna be super excited about that. So yeah, Lucky Ducks, we had a great performance tonight. But yeah, I'm still happy to come home the first guy on the extra strop strategy. I think we could have got the gap down a little bit more had the battles not taken place with a few of those guys, and took a little bit too much fuel at the end. So maybe we could have had a shot for it if we had the strategy just perfectly tuned out. But all in all, a great night for us.
It was fantastic to watch all the different strategies come out at the end. But, John, we got 4 more races left in the regular season before the chase. What are you hoping to learn from this car before we get to where it's most critical to go hunting for that championship?
Yeah, it's so weird every race. Like we know there's going to be a lot of aero and not a whole lot of draft, so it's hard to get runs and stuff. But you come to a track like Michigan and it completely throws it off because you can run everywhere and build runs off the top. You can charge in hard on the bottom and kind of run anywhere without killing your tires too bad. So it's really just a week in, week out kind of thing. It's hard to prepare until you get into the full pack with everybody. These cars just drive so much differently on their own. But like I said, every week is different. We might go next week at a similar type of racetrack with a 2 mile, but it'll drive completely different. It'd be way tighter, not be able to make passes is kind of what we're expecting. Obviously, we hope that's not the case, but we'll just see how it goes. And yeah, just it's been that same kind of memo all season. It's hard to guess what it's going to do.
It certainly has been. It's been weird for us as well up in the booth. But, John, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, just gotta thank everybody. Lucky Ducks, great strategy for the guys up front that won tonight. So that was awesome. Still came home third, 1-2-3. So like I said, John Peel is gonna be hyped about that. But just awesome for everybody on board at the Kyle Chastity, AmeriCare, Stand for Cancer, everybody that just helps put these cars on the racetrack every week. Got to thank them and all the friends and family watching. And then you guys for putting on these broadcasts. I know it's been kind of tough with this car this season at points, but I'm happy we were able to put on a good show for you guys tonight.
Yeah, tonight was actually kind of fun. You got to see a lot of wide open track being utilized. It was a fun evening for us up at the booth. But, John, congratulations on third and good luck next week at Indy.
Thank you, guys.
As that will finish up our interviews here this evening, getting to talk to our top 3 as Jake Nichols continues on with his winning ways. He just continues to be up there as win number 5 for himself as for this season. Been a wild one of ups and downs for some drivers, but it's going to be Douglas Newbegin coming away with second here tonight. John Forbes third, Vincent Sora fourth, Brian McCann, our pole sitter, takes away fifth, with Jarrett Talmadge sixth. Chuck Sweeting able to salvage a top 10 finish for the 57 and seventh. Thomas Green, another one of those drivers that stretched the fuel out. He was able to come away in eighth, with Cedric Hunter ninth, and finishing out our top 10, it's the 67 of Larry Yingling.
Yeah, Shane Terrian there in 11th, after almost winning it last season to finish 11th today. I mean, still a great run for himself with a different car. Zach Hall finishing 13th, a pretty decent run for himself also tonight. And another, just another rough week for Gavin Rogers, finishing back there a lap down in the 19th position. That blown tire earlier in the race, the meatball flag, just did not set him in the right path for a good race. So unfortunately, Gavin Rogers down there again. Hopefully he can find a track that's going to help pull him back up to the top 10, top 5, where he is usually used to running.
Yeah, it's one of those things where tonight had those ups and downs of us having some of those cautions. Unfortunately, got to see a lot of different strategy, which has kind of been difficult to see at times with this vehicle. And like we heard from the interviews, some drivers liked the car, some drivers disliked it. It's been the case of discussion for since the season started, you could say, on what their feelings are on this Gen 4 car. But for us, we get ready for another incredible run next week, race number 9 of the season. We head to Indianapolis. And Richard, your final call and thoughts as we're heading to Indy. I'm excited for it, what next week's going to bring.
Yeah, I'm excited for Indy as well. We're going to have another long, huge track. It's going to have a lot of, long, straight speed. Again, the draft is not as strong as we normally see in like the next gen car that we have seen before. So it's going to be who can take the turns the best and get the momentum off the turn to be able to make the passes. We'll have to see what that track can bring. But the Brickyard is a very iconic track. And this is the car that they had, one of the inaugural races, or I don't believe it was the Gen 4 cars. They had the inaugural race there, but it's just an iconic track. The Brickyard's just a fantastic facility also. I can't wait to see what these guys can do.
Excited to see how they handle themselves at the Brickyard for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway next week. But for tonight, Jake Nichols, it doesn't matter if it's a shorter track, larger track, intermediate. He finds a way to get into victory lane, even if it's based off of fuel mileage. The 73, 5th win. Can he go for win number 6 next week? We'll have to find out. For tonight, thank you so much for joining with us. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer, and as well for our producer in the background, Robert Moyer Jr., thank you for joining with us on your Wednesday evening to watch race number 8 of the season for season 12 to conclude for the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Nichols gets the win, but you don't want to miss out on next week. We're starting to see a couple of drivers emerge and find some raw pace that might be able to challenge the 73. Can they find the strategy? We'll find out if that's where it's at next week as the WSSR Cup Series heads to Indianapolis for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.